that the Honourable Rodney Hyde had reportedly told him that the Honourable Heather Roy was rumoured to be using drugs? If so, when? If not, why not?
Point of order, the Honourable Rodney Hyde.
Mr Speaker, I've already given a personal explanation that I did no such thing, and therefore that question is out of order.
I accept that point because the House must take the word of a member where a member has made a personal explanation. That the consequences of misleading the House on a personal explanation are high. Therefore, the House must take the word of a member. I therefore rule that question out. Point of order, the Honourable Pete Hodgson.
I wonder if I could bring to your attention an obvious problem, which is that I am accurately quoting nothing more or less than the written word of another member of this House. That's all I am doing.
Order, but the facts remain that a member has made a personal explanation in relation to that matter, and the House must take the word of that member. And the consequences, if that member has willfully misled the House in making a personal explanation, the consequences of that are very severe. And that's why members making personal explanations have to be very careful what they say to this House. But I cannot allow a question that contravenes a personal explanation given by a member. If the member wishes to ask further supplementary, the Honourable Pete Hodgson.
What were, to the Minister of Defence, what were the, quote, other defamatory statements that Heather Roy said he had been told by the Honourable Rodney Hyde?
Point of order, the Honourable Rodney Hyde.
I seek leave to make a personal explanation.
Order. Leavers sought to make a personal explanation. I take it on the point just made. Now it's up to the House whether it grants that. Leavers sought. I put it to the House. Is there any objection? There is objection. The order. Point of order, the Honourable Darren Hughes.
Mr Speaker, just to assist the House as a way forward, there is a series of questions that the member wishes to ask based on information that's become available from a member of the member who's making the explanation's own party. At the conclusion of the questions having been made, if the member wishes to make a personal and full explanation about the matters he's concerned about, then I don't think there'll be objection from the opposition. What we do object to is him jumping up every single time and ruling himself out of certain matters as a way of shutting down questions when the base documents the Honourable Pete Hodgson is using is actually from the ACT Parliamentary Party.
Order. The member is entitled to seek leave to do that if he finds an allegation contained in a question to be highly offensive to him. And he's entitled to seek leave. The House is equally entitled not to grant it. But there's no way I can ask the member, because if he doesn't seek leave to make a personal explanation, it allows to go onto the record of the House things that the member may consider untrue, offensive to him, in any other circumstances may be defamatory to him, but that's not a remedy in this House, of course. And so I have a dilemma there. I realise members are trying to be helpful, but the House declined that leave, so therefore I'm obliged to I think I probably have to ask the member to repeat his supplementary question because such time's gone by now that the member's probably forgotten what it was. The Honourable Pete Hodgson. Point of order, the Honourable Rodney Hyde.
Look, I accept that the opposition have exercised their privilege to deny me a right to make a personal explanation, but I just make this point. We'll find ourselves in question time in quite a difficult position, because the minister is the member is getting up and asking questions which make an allegation against me, highly offensive against me. I have an opportunity to stand up as any member of this Parliament to make a personal explanation to say that's not true. Now, what the opposition have done has denied me that. So what that means is it'll become a currency in this Parliament that under the cover of a question, or indeed in giving a speech asking questions of the opposition, that any defamatory or offensive statement can be made about a member, you go and seek leave to say it's not true, which is the strongest statement you can say in this Parliament, seeking personal explanation, so it'll just continue.
I'll hear the Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Speaker, I think if it was a fresh allegation or something that was new or not known to the House, then the member might have a point. I think the problem he has is that this is not an allegation made by Mr Hodgson, it is one made by Heather Roy, and he is merely quoting it.
Order. The member has raised a relevant issue that members must not actually, under the standing orders, insert into a question an allegation. That is contrary to standing orders, and that's why the member couldn't, in asking a supplementary question, make a statement about another member, because that's actually strictly outside standing orders. Now, I don't intervene when members do insert allegations into questions, because I'd be intervening far too often. But when it comes to a matter relating to a member, then I would intervene. Now, as the Honourable Trevor Mallard points out on this occasion, the member asking the question is not himself making an allegation against anyone. He is, as I understand it, quoting something. Now, that shouldn't be, again, if that were an outrageous quotation, then that would not be acceptable either in this House. I realise it's a sensitive matter, and it's not an easy matter for me to rule on, but I think we need to hear the supplementary question to be satisfied that the member asking it is not himself making any allegations against the Honourable Rodney Hyde in the question. It must be relevant to the Minister's responsibilities. Otherwise, it is unreasonable. I should not allow a question that even though it might be quoting someone, where the Minister has no responsibility, just to try and get onto the record of the House something that a member wants to get onto the record of the House. That would not be reasonable either. So I ask the experienced member, the Honourable Pete Hodgson, to respect the standing orders of the House in wording his supplementary question. We'll listen to it very carefully, but it must not contain any allegation that he might be making. It must not quote any outrageous allegation, and the question must be within the responsibility of the Minister of Defence.
Supplementary.
The Honourable Pete Hodgson.
What were...
Oh, they're from Heather, Senator.
Mr Speaker, what were, quote, the other defamatory statements, close quote, that he reportedly told the Honourable Heather Roy that the Honourable Rodney Hyde had told him?
The Honourable Gerry Brownlee.
Mr Speaker, I'm going to take a point of order, if I might.
The Honourable Gerry Brownlee, point of order.
Mr Speaker, the primary question today says, is he satisfied that the removal of a document entitled Defence Review 2009 from the office of his then Associate Minister does not represent a security breach? Since then, Mr Speaker, we've had a series of questions that relate to an internal party document that has various allegations in it, which is not an official document and is only a matter of record in this House because it was tabled and only tabled because it's freely available on the Herald website. Mr Speaker, I would ask you to rule why ministers in any circumstance, given the Speaker's rulings that I think you'll find relating to incidents that took place in 2002, should be required to answer any questions about another party's internal document.
I'll hear the Honourable Trevor Mallard briefly.
Mr Speaker, I think all it could go to is the possibility that the other defamatory statements that were alleged to have been made by Mr Hyde about Mrs Roy went to any question of security risk or her ability to do her job as an associate of the Minister of Defence. And if those were the sorts of allegations that were made, and I can think of no other reason why a leader of a party would make such allegations to the Prime Minister,
I think we've
other than for those reasons.
We risk getting into debating the merits of the issue. I realise it's a very sensitive issue, and I hear what the Honourable Gerry Brownlee has said, that the primary question related to security, and the supplementary questions have moved more towards an internal matters relating to an internal party document for which the Minister is certainly not responsible. In answering the question, because I haven't at this stage ruled the question out, I think the Minister should be guided by the fact that he is only responsible for the conduct of the Associate Minister of Defence insofar